What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to drink a Dr. Pepper out of a Waffle House mug that I got signed by AJ Risley. I'm just kidding. That is not what this video is about. So today we're going to do a stencil hot dip. And there's a few things you're going to need for this. It's not quite as simple as the previous video. So what you're going to need for this is the same powder that you had in the last video will work fine. Whatever color you want, it's your choice. But you're going to want eye-dye poly. I'm using black here. I'm just going to grab whatever's on top. I've got some red here, but this is what it looks like. The packet's just going to have black eye-dye on it, or black coloring on it. So eye-dye poly. If it doesn't say poly, it's not going to work on plastic. You're going to need dye. You're going to need a jar, a mason jar. Here I have one already mixed up. This is about 1.5 teaspoons to 2 teaspoons of dye to this full jar of water. When you start to tip the jar, if you have dye powder still on the bottom caked up, it's too much. It's not going to hurt anything, but just try not to stir that up into the water. You're going to need something to heat the water with. That's why it's called a hot dip dye. I'm using a hot plate here. You're probably in the house, you probably use your stove. Just be really careful, because as soon as this touches something, you've got like that fast and it's soaked in and ruined whatever it was on. So you're gonna want something like this. It's a small jarring funnel. I use this to pour the dye back into the jar when I'm done. That part can get messy. I have this pan. Don't use the same pan you heat this dye in to cook food. It is toxic. I bent the edge of this to make it pour better. I can pour my dye out now. This funnel helps a lot in getting it all into the jar and not on the table or whatever surface you're doing that on. You're gonna need some scissors. You're gonna need some contact paper or transfer paper. It comes in a roll. On eBay and Amazon, you can get it in 12-inch by 12-inch sheets. Same with the vinyl itself. You're gonna wanna get Oracle or some other recognizable brand that isn't going to bleed and mess your stuff up. I like 651, it's super sticky, it's made to be permanent, but for the amount of time that we're gonna have it on the disc, it comes off pretty clean most of the time. So you're gonna need some way of cutting the vinyl. I have a machine. It's very easy for me to cut my stencils now, but I started out doing this by hand using an X-Acto blade. This little tracing pad, it's for children, it lights up. And what I would do is I would print a picture I wanted to cut out. I'd lay it on the light, I would light it up, get in a somewhat dark room. I would lay my vinyl on top, turn the light on, and then I could see it through the vinyl. I would tape it all down so it wouldn't move, and I would just cut it out of the vinyl. You're also gonna need some gloves. I like using these gloves because I don't like getting dye all over my hands. You're gonna need some weeding tweezers and hooks. This is gonna help out a lot for getting the negative space pulled. I'll show you here how I did that. All right, so what we're gonna do next is, before we peel this off to put on the disc we want, to keep the negative areas, or the areas that aren't attached to the main sheet from peeling away, I've already cut out these pieces of contact paper. I guess it's transfer paper, I'm sorry. Transfer tape? It has a name, and I'm aware of the name. I'll put it on the screen, I'm so sorry. So we're gonna put this over here. Make sure it's nice and clean. And I like to start with an edge. I like clear because it's easy to see. I think there's other colors, but I'll start with the bottom edge of it. And I'll just rub it down. You can kind of, y'all probably can't see it on the camera, but it you can definitely see when it's fully adhered to what you're putting it on. on there. You're gonna need some towels. These are very disposable towels. As you can see, these are covered in old cleanups from dyeing discs. You're gonna need, what else? What else are we gonna need, guys? I think that's it. Hot plate, pan. You're gonna need a disc. Oh yeah. All right, let's do a disc. So for the first dye, we're gonna do this blank Glow Eclipse 2.0 reactor from MVP. This one is gonna be the Order 66. We're gonna put the Order 66, we're gonna put that on there. That's gonna look sick. I don't know if you guys know what Order 66 is. Go watch Star Wars from beginning to end, every movie, and then go watch Clone Wars, the cartoon, and then tell me I'm a child. A big grown 6'4", 200-pound child. The next disc we do is gonna be this Neutron Fireball. I wiped the stamp off of it using acetone. That's very simple. Paper towel on top of it, pour some acetone on it. Paper towel soaks up the acetone, holds it there for a second, wipe it away, the stamp is gone. So we're gonna start with the, oh, I didn't say what we were gonna put on it. This one is gonna say, get out of jail free, because I feel like that is so appropriate. I use my Fireballs more than any other disc to get out of jail. Ooh, one thing I didn't mention. I mentioned in the last video though, absorbing pad, absorbing pad, absorbing pad. Put something under what you're working on. All right, we just went in the house and washed these. I forgot about that. Like I said last time, always, always, always wash the discs, and then just try not to touch the spot you're going to dye in between washing it and dyeing it. So I'm holding these by the edges, and these are going to sit way over here. We're going to pour enough liquid into this pan that the disc will float. There's got to be enough for the disc to float or it's not going to work. All right, that's what these are for. I'm going to close this, set it aside with the funnel because that's what we're going to need it for next. And we're going to carefully set this on medium to low. We're going to remove anything out of the area that might melt. And I'm going to set this on the heat. So while that's heating up, what I'm going to do is start putting the disc on, or the vinyl on the disc. So anyways, we'll pick up the reactor. I just realized something. I cut this off center for a reason. In all honesty, it was for a different disc, but I've decided not to put it on that disc. So when thinking about where the stencil is on the page, you need to know that some of the vinyl needs to wrap around the edge of the disc. You don't want that. If the disc is sticking out of the side, that's gonna get dye on it when it's floating in that. I like to roll this really tightly, like that, because it kind of gives it an edge and it kind of makes it come off when you need it to. And just watch the edge like I'm doing. Like I saw that tried to stay on there. There we go. You just take your time. We'll slide this up on top of it. Sticky side up, of course. And I will try my best to center this disc on the stencil. I think it's too bright. We're gonna cut some lights off for a second. I think that's it. I'm gonna push it around a little bit. Let me get y'all some lights going again. The light is wobbling around. I hope that's all right. So we got it on. Did we? Ooh. We'll flip it over. And we just want to make sure there aren't any air bubbles. You'll be able to see little air bubbles under the vinyl. If those air bubbles are anywhere near an empty space where you're going to put dye, try to push them out, force them out. I like to use my fingernail. I just use the back side of my fingernail and I push them. There is a squeegee made for this, but I don't have one. You can hear it clicking. That is the sound of that air bubble popping out. So when we remove this transfer paper, we're gonna do it just like we did the backing of the original vinyl. Just roll it tight Just push it down and roll it and keep really tight roll at the back. And it'll usually, because of the direction it's being pulled, the vinyl is going to hold itself down and you won't end up with anything crazy happening. And we're good. I don't even really see any air bubbles near edges, one or two. We're just gonna be honest, I've thrown 4 things at that trash can. It is 5 feet away from my hand, and that was the first time something went in it. All right, so what we're gonna do next is fold the vinyl up and over the edges. Just fold it tight. Just to kind of keep it from sinking down into the die. And you know, it kind of protects the part you don't want to be dyed and gives you something to pull the disc out with, kind of control how it goes in and out. So all right, so I'm going to cut that off. It's plenty hot enough. Once there's a little steam rolling off of it, it's done. I'm going to put my gloves on. I'm going to transfer the pan to this. All right, so here we go, guys. I'm going to set a timer for 0 hours, 7 minutes, and 0 seconds. What we're gonna do, in order to not trap air bubbles under the disc, you have to put it in at a small angle. So I'm gonna dip this side first, and I'm gonna do what I call like the pre-dip. I'm gonna actually get the disc wet so there's surface tension from the water, and then it'll kind of pull up where you're gonna get like bubbles in the stencil. So we're gonna go in at the angle. Pick it up and then go in again. And I'm using a semi-clear disc, so fortunately for me, I can see for the most part whether or not I've got air bubbles. All right, 7 minutes. In 7 minutes, we're gonna pull her out. Be right back. We do have 5 minutes, so let's make the most of it. We're gonna start on the other one. 5 minutes is gonna go by really fast if we're dyeing a disc. Committed to it, I heard the timer. Stop that. I'm gonna check this out and see what it looks like. Man, that's not super dark. I'm gonna put it back down. Just check it every few minutes. A nice even number, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, something like that. And then, you know, like I said, you can see how dark it is if you guys wanna see the comparison of the vinyl to the undyed vinyl. Oh, I didn't start another timer. So science, much scientifics. Another 5 minutes. Again, tight angle, and just watch it and make sure it doesn't catch and tear anything up. Perfect. I missed it again. All right, I'm gonna set this down. And I'm just gonna crinkle it a little and fold the tops over. If you have it up and crinkled and then you fold the top, you get a nice unsticky spot to grab and move it, and it doesn't try to stick to your finger and you don't dip it and mess it up. And we're gonna check for air bubbles that are near our lines. All right, so we've got the bubbles out of this one. We're gonna go ahead and pull that in a few minutes, rinse it off. Actually, we got 12 seconds left. I'm gonna go ahead and cancel that timer. I could probably fold this one a little bit so that it'll stop sticking to me. It's a little late for that, isn't it? We're gonna heat this back up and we'll be back. I'm gonna take this to the kitchen. I'm going to rinse it, and then I'm gonna peel the vinyl off under very hot water. The gloves help with that. But the very hot water gets the vinyl very gummy and it comes off, and you don't end up with a sticky residue all over the disc. All right guys, we got the first one done, rinsed off, vinyl is pulled off. It is looking great, but you don't get to see it till the end, so stay put. We're gonna put the second one in, set a timer for 10 minutes. Get my phone out. And ten minutes. I think because it was Eclipse plastic, it kind of changed the way the dye went in and the color I got, but let's dye this one the same way. We're gonna put it in at an angle, get the edge of it wet, and then lean it in, kind of move it around a little bit, pick it up from a different angle because of the way water works. Just trying to get everything a little wet so that the surface tension pulls the dye and we don't get any bubbles. Oh, I'm so excited. All right guys, it's been 7 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and check this. I'm gonna pull the pan off the heat. Well, the heat's actually turned off, but I don't want to tip this disc around too much when it's not over this absorbent pad. Ooh, while we were waiting, I went and had some hot peppers and chicken nuggets, and they were hot. I don't know. One was way hotter than the other for some reason. But that's how peppers go. I grow Tabasco peppers at home, so not something I'm not used to experiencing, I guess. Wow, this got way darker than the first run. Well, I'm stoked. I'm about to pull this thing. It's dark enough. We'll be able to see it. It's definitely warm enough. It's steaming. Yeah, this is done. I'm gonna pinch that to where it'll stand up a little bit, catch the drips. So we're gonna get our jar back out. We're gonna get this. We're gonna set towels out. Because this makes a mess. I like to put this on the pan. And there's another reason why these are so dirty is because I'll just use them to wipe the pan out. Let me take this in, rinse it off, and when I come back out, we'll look at both of them. All right, first things first, Order 66. I think the chemical in the dye compound, whatever they make it glow in the dark with, made the black show up brown. And that color is why I thought it wasn't taking, so I kept trying it over and over, but that is excellent. I love that. That is fantastic. Love Star Wars, and this one is about to be one of my favorites. Gosh, get out of jail free. Like, I think we all need a disc like this in our bag. Wouldn't you agree? I hope this was helpful. I hope it was informative. I hope you can find success in dyeing your discs. I really enjoy it. I may not be the best, but I know a few techniques, and I thought I'd share them here on the channel since it is part of doing disc golf. So, and that's what we do here. We do disc golf. So again, we have the Get Out of Jail Free and the Order 66. We got a Fireball and a Glow 2.0 reactor. A bunch of you guys may be Star Wars fans. Maybe y'all are all sitting at home like, oh my God, I can't wait to click subscribe, like. Maybe that's what's happening right now. And if it is, yay, you're the best.